Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I'm your Melanated Queen and your hostess, Lil Foxy, aka Seven Wonder. Thank you for joining me on another live stream, you all. I've had a very, very busy day today. And so, with that being said, we're going to delve into the topic of idol worship. And I feel that this topic is extremely important because a lot of people fall victim and a lot of people fall prey to idol worship. I don't wholeheartedly believe in the Bible in a literal sense. I believe that some of the verses were meant to be taken figuratively to teach us a lesson. And it does speak about idol worship, you all. Idol worship can be very detrimental to a community as a whole. This is why we see a lot of people being led astray into the abyss of nowhere, because these people that are idolized do not care about you. They do not have your best interest at heart whatsoever. And they could care less about your children. They could care less about your family. And they could care less about you or your life. This is why we see so many celebrities pushing the COVID vaccine. This is why we see so many people that are ready to line you up and tell you that what you should do is have yourself injected with something that you don't even know if it's good for your body or not. This is why a lot of people siphon money from the community asking for donations when they know that their best intentions that they have for you is not to be the best thing. They don't have your best interest at heart, basically. So when they're asking for donations and they're asking for you to fund a certain situation that they've come up with, you need to be very mindful that these people are just basically entities within a human body. Everybody is a spirit within a body, and you got to start looking at people that way. You need to start looking at people, look at their eyes, look at their auras, look at what they show you as a human being, because actions speak louder than words, you all. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the antics of people having a large platform, a large following, a large social influence, because they are being introduced to these people on a screen, on TV, on the radio, or whatever way that they're marketed to you. And they get caught up in these people's antics. And so I say to you, do not believe in everything you see, but be very watchful of what a person does. A person's only going to show you what they want to reveal to you so they can get what they want from you. And we're going to examine these antics, you all. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get into some of what we've been seeing play out recently within the melanated community in particular, you all. All right. So we are very much aware of CIA agents and PSYOPS. Okay. All right, you all. And I'm going to see if I can find something, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. So I want to make sure that we have no issues here. So let me pull this up, and I'm going to find something, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can play it for you so you can understand the magnitude of what I am speaking about. All right. Let's see here. They may have taken it off the internet, but nonetheless, I'm going to see if I can find it. And I hope you're having a wonderful day today. But sometimes you really have to do some digging when you're trying to find stuff, because they will cleanse the internet. They'll strip the internet from a lot of things. I don't see it, but there's a documentary called Out of Shadows that I want you all to take a look at when you get a chance. And if I come across it while I'm searching for it, I'll definitely play it for you. Let me see if this will be it right here.
Sarah, you said you were...
It's a little commercial. Robert De Niro. No, maybe that's not him. It's the Capital One commercial playing, you all. Let's see if this is it right here.
They're accused of being members. And there are weird YouTubers like this guy.
They had weird...
Oh, of course, it's Alec Jones. You can hear his
show
voice.
document cam shot of the city.
He wanted to spread Enlightenment ideals around. Even though they were weird, they did have some success around the world. Anywhere from 650.
All right, so this is not necessarily the one that I wanted to show you all. Let me go to another website and see if I can find it there. Out of Shadows. All right, so I don't see the whole thing here.
Hi, I'm Matt. And
They
I'm
may have
wondering,
taken it down, you all. It's a really good documentary.
We
Check it
should
out
do it on your...
because it might be on Netflix.
Today's episode, The New World Order. Well, the New World Order is a number of different conspiracy theories.
All right.
Here's Ann Stevens.
This isn't it. You all, I think it's on Netflix. If you get a chance, go to Netflix and type in Out of Shadows because it may be there. I don't see it on here, but I do believe that I watched it on YouTube actually, but it's hard to find for whatever reason, the full documentary. They may have taken it off. All right, so we can't watch it, you all. And I apologize for that. I thought I was going to come across it. They may have removed it. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about the same topic that I said we're going to talk about, which is the PSYOPs. Okay. So let's get into it, you all. All right, let me share my screen. Here we go. So I don't know if you can see this coming up, but I'm sharing my screen right now. So you should be able to see what I have here. It says Doctrine on Psychological Operations. The Department of Defense has issued a new publication PDF to update and clarify its doctrine on psychological operations. Psychological operations, or PSYOP, are intended to convey selected information and indicators to foreign audiences to influence their emotions, motives, objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of foreign governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. Take note of the word individuals. The purpose of psychological operations is to induce or reinforce foreign attitudes and behavior favorable to the originator's objectives. PSYOP is among the oldest of military disciplines, but the new DoD doctrine continues to wrestle with basic definitional issues. It endorses a new negative definition of the term propaganda, which had formerly been used in neutral sense to refer to any form of communication in support of national objectives designed to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly. From now on, propaganda will refer only to what the enemy does. Any form of adversary communication, especially of a biased or misleading nature, designed to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly, you all. We see this happen a lot. Mostly in the media, mostly with your entertainers, mostly with your athletes, mostly with your politicians, mostly with your rappers, mostly with your actors, mostly with the actresses, mostly with your social media influencers. These people are that, okay? The new doctrine also dictates that the term perception management shall be eliminated from the DoD lexicon, all right? So basically, they're just telling you that these people are sent to try to influence your feelings, your emotions, what you think about them, okay? And let's see if we can find any other information on the word PSYOP. And you see there's a book, the CIA PSYOP Manual. That's probably actually a good book to read, you all. Well, we already have seen this take place in so many different facets of the community and in the social arena today. Let's see, this one right here says, well, this just tells you like the definition, which we pretty much know what that is. But I wanted to give you some more examples if I could. But I think most people already know what this is without really having to look up the definition. But for those of you who are not aware, it's a psychological operation, aka psychological warfare. I talk about that a lot on my other channel under Seven Wonder. That's SEVEN space WONDER, Seven Wonder. The military application of psychology, especially to propagandize and attempts to influence the morale of enemy and friendly groups in time of war. So like I said, it's a psychological warfare that's being played upon you. Who do they use for psychological warfare? Who they use for PSYOPs are going to be people that you feel have your same common goals, same common interests, people that infiltrate. We've seen this happen with the Black Panther movement, the Black Power movement. I think they said that Samuel Jackson used to be a member of the Black Power movement back in the 70s, and he basically was threatened to stop. I don't know if they threatened his life, but all of a sudden he ended up being an actor in movies, you all. So that's just a little bit of information for you if you were not aware of that. And so if you follow their narrative to fit their agenda, they make sure that in the social arena that you receive what you want in life. And that could be, you know, a platform in a movie. You could be, you know, excelling your career. A lot of people love attention. A lot of people want to be famous. They, you know, they want to be idolized. And so they find a way for this to happen in your favor and on your behalf. All right, with that being said, let's take a look at some of the people that I feel are PSYOPs, okay? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, and we're going to further examine this a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure you all are probably familiar with Tupac, okay? Tupac Shakur, Tupac Amaru Shakur, aka Lassane Parish Crooks. Everybody's probably very much aware of that by now.
Would you like to be your own?
It's on commercial, y'all. So we're going to take a look at this in just a second. All right, so I haven't seen this one yet, but we're going to take a look at it and see what they're talking about. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Just a second. Let me share the screen, y'all. Let's go here and go to share, because sharing is caring. All right, I don't think they're really going to tell us anything about this right here. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for this one. Sometimes they have some really good ones and sometimes they do not. They even have one about OJ. So let me get off of here and let me see if I can find something else that we can take a look at so you all will know what I'm talking about. Because I did start off with Tupac. I wanted to get into OJ because that was a really, you know, a really good one. Many people, I'm starting to think that that whole trial was made up. I'm starting to think that that whole thing is just something doesn't sit right. I remember that trial because that trial was going on every single freaking day when I was going to school, y'all. I was so young, but I do remember that trial. Oh, here it is. So let's get into this. The OJ Simpson hoax. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm going to share the screen so you can see this. Screen share. All right, a lot of people probably still believes that he did it, but I'm starting to have my doubts. Seriously. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, they can play with your minds, people. They're good at it. They're good at it. So before I start, I just want to let you know, O.J. Simpson was an actor. You also know that Johnny Cochran was not a lawyer. He was a civil rights activist. You know that Christopher Darden was an actor. And you know that Christopher Darden ended up in the same. So allegedly, Christopher Darden was working with a prosecution with Marsha Clark, prosecuting O.J. Simpson for the murder of Nicole Simpson. We all remember that, right? We also know that recently for the Nipsey Hussle, who also took his name from a comedian named Nipsey Russell. All right. So Christopher Darden ended up going from being a prosecutor to being a defense attorney, which I thought was extremely awkward because the person that allegedly shot Nipsey Hussle, his name was Eric Holder. Eric Holder also shares the same name as someone in the Senate, I believe. I don't even think that was the guy's real name. I think that was another PSYOP, to be honest with you. And the fact that Christopher Darden is an actor also makes me further believe that that whole thing was a hoax as well. I mean, now I know this happened over 2.5 years ago, but a lot of people are still in that whole Nipsey Hussle train. I have been off of that about a year or two ago. I stopped believing in that as well. I also had to come to terms that Tupac is another one that's a PSYOP, you all. And we continue to see the same perpetual cycle in the melanated community, and people don't want to believe the truth because they're so emotionally tied to characters that they don't know personally. So let's further examine this and take a look at what I am trying to convey here.
For those that are not into reading, I will present you with the clues you may have missed regarding the O.J. Simpson. But if you feel the need to hold on to the mainstream story, feel free to keep it. I no longer have any use for it. Instead of looking at this event through the eyes of the controlled media, here we will be questioning it all. We will start at the very beginning. Orenthal James Simpson was born in 1947. What else was born in 1947? That's right, the CIA. This early in the investigation, you will no doubt dismiss that as a coincidence. Later, you won't. After his famous career as a football running back, Simpson went to Hollywood to become an actor. Who runs Hollywood? That's right, our old friend the CIA. In 1993, Simpson had a supporting role in a movie called CIA, codename Alexa.
Alexa, surname unknown. Specializes in combat. She's government property.
Sure, by now you know this is a government facility.
But I know that you got that Rambo bitch here. So I want to see her, and I want to see her now.
Oh, you're not inquisitioning the man detective.
Oh, yes, what are you going to do? Kill me?
That can be arranged.
Just.
Have you ever found yourself working?
All of these people, you all, the athletes, are actors. And a lot of people are not aware that a lot of the football games are rigged. The basketball games are rigged. They already know who they want to win. They already have people call shots so that whatever team they want to win, it's a political strategy, you all. And it's code for how things are going to go forward for that political year. This is why when we saw that year when Russell Wilson was told to throw the ball and the other guy intercepted and they lost the game. Did you see the disappointment on Russell Wilson's face? Because he did not understand the antics of what takes place and the politics that take place within the NFL, the football and the NBA games. He wasn't privy to that. And you all, I did know Russell Wilson's father. He was actually my defense attorney years ago. He was a very good-hearted individual, a good soul, a good-spirited man. But Russell Wilson was extremely young back then. I think he was probably in middle school. But I can say that he was raised by a very good man. I've had, you know, the opportunity to work with his father. Unfortunately, was under some very unfortunate circumstances, but nonetheless, I do remember him, and we did go to his house. But you all, these things happen. They play out in front of us every single day, and a lot of people are not privy to what's going on because they believe everything they see, and they don't have a sense of discernment. Because when you're born into this world and you go to school and you think you're getting an education, you're receiving indoctrination. They're telling you what to think, how to feel, what you should believe in. And we have to strip ourselves of that and start thinking for ourselves. This is why the creators, the divine creators, gave us a way to think for ourselves and gave us logic and a brain for ourselves. These people want us to be robots. That's why they're programming us, and they want us all to be the same. They want us all to believe that we need to take a vaccine. Why do we need to take a vaccine for something that our body can naturally fight against? Because they're making man-made diseases, and they're trying to attack and depopulate the earth. And I've showed you this on my prior video when I showed you what David Rockefeller said, one of his quotes. So if you haven't seen that, check out my other video prior to this one. It was the live stream that I did when I said we're going to stop talking about the young Pharaoh shenanigans and moving on away from that. That one had not as much viewership because I wasn't talking about young Pharaoh. And I don't feel the need to talk about it. I just felt compelled to speak about it because I felt that it was something that was impacting the melanated community. And it was a topic that I felt passionate about. And I use it as a way to basically touch on some key points that I saw that should be spoken about. But a lot of people take other people's pictures and they take their names and put it in their videos just so they can get a whole lot of views and likes. So with that being said, let's continue on with this video right here. Skip past this commercial, y'all.
Just another coincidence. Not really. And neither is the word Alexa. The web search on Alexa tells you the name means defender of man, or that the computer company Alexa founded in 1996 based the name on the Library of Alexandria. Both are misdirections. The right answer is that the CIA has long liked and used the name Alexa, and that the computer company of that name is a CIA front. Remember, the web was originally created by intelligence as a tool of intelligence, both to collect data and to disseminate it. Alexa is now used as the basis for web searches as well as for the Wayback Machine, which has stored terabytes of information. But the reason intelligence likes the word is easy to see if you write it like this.
So you all, every device that you have in your house, especially if it has a webcam, it's watching you. Even if you think you're not being watched and you're not using the webcam, they can tap into your devices. They can listen to you. They can watch you. The remotes that you talk into is listening to you. Every device that's Bluetooth basically they can tap into it. So any computer, any tablet, any phone, anything that's digitalized with a Bluetooth, you basically can be infiltrated. Even this camera, if they wanted to tap into, because it has Wi-Fi on it. So just be very mindful of when you're walking throughout your house. If you're in the bathroom, if you have these devices sitting out, cover them up. Even your TV screen, cover it up, especially if you have connected your TV to the internet, which I never did connect my TV to the internet because I felt that it was unnecessary, because then they started asking for my location. What do you need that for? You know, it's just all these type of things. Even in your car, if you have a navigation system, they can track you there. Your phone, we all know that's a major tracking device. Your driver's license has a chip in it, which is also a tracking device. Your bank cards has chips. Your credit cards has a chip. Everything has a chip, which is the tracking device. Now they want to basically infiltrate you with the injection, which is going to be another form of implanting nanobites. You all, that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to go too deep into it. So we're going to continue with this video.
Lex means law in Latin, and intelligence sees itself as a law unto itself.
Alexa, do you work for the CIA?
No, I'm not employed by them. I'm made by Amazon.
Alexa, does the CIA get information from Amazon?
I'm not sure what you meant by that question.
Alexa, can the CIA get information from Amazon? Alexa, can the CIA get information from Amazon?
So once again, Lex means law in Latin, and intelligence sees itself as a law unto itself. It does whatever it wants, including faking and faking trials. Simpson also appeared in the 1978 movie Capricorn 1, which is about faking a Mars landing. Do not let it slip by you. It is about faking a major event. The movie was based on theories the moon landing was a hoax. Audiences loved it, since after Watergate they liked any confirmation they were being lied to by the government.
Do you want to blow this whole thing wide open? God knows what it might do to everybody.
This is really wonderful. We go along with you and lie our asses off in the world of truth and ideals is protected. But we don't want to take part in some giant ripoff of yours, and somehow or other we're managing to ruin the country. You're pretty good, Jim. I'll give you that.
No. You're twisting my words.
Sell yourself short.
Don't sell the program short.
Don't oversell it. Don't talk like that. What the hell's the matter with you? Please, Brew, don't talk like that. I don't think this is right. All the rest is bullshit.
You have to help.
What do you mean I have to?
You have to help.
What if I don't?
Please. Your families.
What about our families?
Please, you have to help.
But there are curious things rarely mentioned about the movie. 1. NASA cooperated with the producers, lending them equipment. Why would they do that? We are told the movie was independent, but it was distributed by Warner Brothers and produced by ITC and Paul Lazarus. Keep reminding yourself that all these people are actors. You're watching a play. They hired to fill a role, as in their other jobs. The CIA hires pros just like anyone else would. Before we move on, let me answer that question. Why did NASA cooperate with Capricorn 1? Damage control. The movie was conceived of and promoted by the government itself. They weren't confirming the moon landing was a hoax, of course. No, they were taking an idea which they knew was already in the head of the nation, and trying to turn it subtly away from its target. They were planting this idea in the heads of those watching the film. This is the go-to misdirection to this day, for all conspiracy theories. After 9/11, they used the same misdirection, leading most debunkings with the idea that with so many people involved and so many intangibles, secrecy could never be maintained. That's not.
Now, you all are aware that 9/11 was staged. I'm pretty sure you are aware of that by now. There was an extensive amount of research that I did on that back in 2015, going into 2016, you all. And this video that I watched spelled it all the way out. When the Twin Towers were built back in the 70s, they were already built with detonation devices that were underground. Okay? They were already built with detonation devices underground. There was someone from the Middle East involved in 9/11. And when the towers went down, because he was basically the one behind it, it was not Osama bin Laden. They had nothing to do with it, you all. This guy was across the street sitting on a rooftop with binoculars celebrating. And I forgot his name. I forgot which country from which he derived. But this Russian scientist broke it all the way down. They gathered pieces of the I can't think of the word I want to use, but they basically tested the fibers that were, you know, basically that had exploded, and they found out that all of that dust had some form of detonation detonation material in it, explosive material in it. And basically there was no way that a plane could melt steel, and not at that temperature. Okay, it would have needed to be a whole lot hotter. And so the only thing that could have done that would have been the detonation. That's why you saw the buildings collapse like this in a very unified, strategic way of imploding on themselves. And if the plane were to had really gone into that building the way they said, it would have done something like this. It wouldn't have gone straight through, because what they did when they detonated the building, they weakened its structure. And so when it got hot, that's why you saw that plane look like it was going through like that, because they had already weakened the foundation and the structure, and it had started getting so hot and melting the steel. But you all, there are so many PSYOPs that take place that the government uses in front of our faces, and they use the media to do it because they own the media. They own TMZ. They own every single news outlet that you see. Basically, they own it. Okay. Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, all of them. Anderson Cooper is a part of the CIA as well. But let's continue.
Nonsense, of course, but it fools most people. Most people don't want to believe in faked events, so they are pretty easy to deflect with false reasoning like this. The truth is, secrecy isn't maintained. There are leaks, and many people know the truth. Others find out the truth. But that doesn't matter, because total secrecy isn't necessary.
So you all, this was basically a racial PSYOP. They wanted to make it seem as though they divided the country between the melanated people and the Caucasian people. So they wanted to create like a race war and have racial tension. If you read a book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper, he basically spells it out about how the government plays on people's mental they play on people strategically, involving their emotions, and they play mental mind games with people. And you all, it's really bad the way that they do it, because they pull on your heartstrings. That's why you saw the whole situation with George Floyd take place. That's why you keep seeing all these police brutalities. That whole thing with Rodney King, some of that I heard was also orchestrated as well. I don't know how true that is. I even heard that the whole Malcolm X situation was another PSYOP, you all. So just be very careful and be very mindful of what they wish to push into the forefront, especially when they keep teaching you about it over and over again. Why do they allow you to learn about some and then try to shun away the others? If they really wanted melanated people to make an impact in the community, they would give them the platform to do so. And so there are certain people they give the platform to, but they never really do what they say they're going to do. They lead you astray. That's all by design, you all, and it's for a reason. So let's continue with this video.
All that is necessary is that the leaks aren't recorded by the mainstream press. As long as the government can press Stonewall and deny, the majority of people aren't going to move past a certain point. The CIA learned a long time ago that a small percentage of activists can be ignored because the masses won't follow them. Most people will follow the majority, no matter where it goes. That is why it is called the majority. Because of that, intelligence only needs to manufacture the majority opinion. In other words, the majority of people don't even need to believe something. They only need to be told that the majority believes it. That is enough to stop them from acting on their own beliefs or suspicions. The government doesn't poll the public to discover a majority opinion, at least not on important topics. The government just creates a majority opinion and publishes it. Most people then believe it, or at least believe it is the majority opinion, simply because they saw it published. Even if they don't share the opinion, they believe they are in a minority, and therefore powerless. O.J. Simpson was also in the last 3 Naked Gun movies, including Naked Gun 33 and 1/3 The Final Insult. That title alone should have always seemed curious to you. We are told that the 33 and 1/3 is a reference to the speed of a vinyl LP, but I don't see the joke or the connection there. What does a vinyl LP have to do with anything in the movie or the title? The reference isn't to a vinyl LP, it is a reference to numerology, which intelligence loves for its own reasons. We have seen the number 33 coming up over and over in these faked events, and we find it coming up again in this one a bit later, when Simpson is finally sentenced to 33 years for assault and robbery in 2008.
A broken O.J. Simpson was sentenced to as much as 33 years in prison for a hotel armed robbery.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal anything from anybody, and I didn't know I was doing anything illegal.
In total, the jury slapped O.J. with $33.5 million in damages.
Perhaps the biggest pre-event red flag is Simpson's last movie before the alleged murders, Frogman. Completed just a few months before the murders, and also produced by Warner Brothers. This was the pilot for an A-Team type TV series featuring Navy SEALs. Simpson played the character of John Bulford Burke, and he was a major character, sort of like Mr. T was in the A-Team.
There's a good chance that O.J. Simpson's biggest movie role will never see the light of day, except perhaps as a piece of evidence in open court. Now, Simpson plays the lead in Frogman, a made-for-TV movie that promised to make him the next big action hero. Entertainment Tonight was there before O.J. Simpson's fortunes declined. And as you watch, keep in mind how O.J.'s life has dramatically changed.
Before we move on, let's look quickly at Simpson's character in Frogman. His name was John Burke, as I already mentioned. I encourage you to look up John Burke in the History Encyclopedia. He was a famous Confederate spy for General Lee during the Civil War. He later became Adjutant General of Texas. Knowing what we now know, it is curious that they decided to name Simpson's character after a famous spy. The Frogman John Burke isn't a spy, he is a SEAL. So the connection is to Simpson himself, not to his character.
When you plan and schedule your social...
All right, you all see, there you see, they set the narratives for you, and basically they paint the pictures for you so that you can believe what they wish to convey to you, which simply is not what you really think you saw. It's really not the truth.
Now let's look at the lead up to the trial. This is where we get some of our most obvious evidence this was all faked. A grand jury was called, but then dismissed 2 days later due to excessive media coverage. No lawyer would believe this, since this isn't how it works. A grand jury is called only to determine if there is enough evidence to go to trial. They don't have to make any judgments of guilt or innocence, so dismissing a grand jury due to media coverage is both logical and unprecedented. Grand juries are normally slow in major murder cases, since they have to study a lot of evidence. They may sit for a month, 6 months, or even a year. It is clear the Simpson grand jury was dismissed, not for the reasons we are told, but because it was not moving quickly enough for the script and plot. The producers needed to get Simpson to trial court as soon as possible and turn on the cameras. In the Simpson case, Superior Court Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell ruled after only 1 week that Simpson should be tried. Since she is just one person, that conflicts with the Magna Carta and all law since then. We will see that the entire Simpson event was staged, including all the trials and pre-trials. You should also remember that Court TV came into prominence with the televised Menendez and Simpson trials. So it was a major player in these fake trials from the beginning. In 2008, Court TV was relaunched as True TV, so you should also look on all programming from True TV as compromised, including Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. It would appear that Jesse is part of controlled opposition. Court TV was started by Time Warner and NBC. It is still owned by Time Warner. Time has been closely allied to the government and military intelligence from its beginnings in 1923. It was started by Henry Luce, a Yale Skull and Bones guy from an intelligence family.
Okay, if you're not familiar with Skull and Bones, that is like a secret society that a lot of the politicians, they do certain rituals to get into this particular society. And George Bush Sr. was a part of it. And I think George Bush Jr. was a part of it as well. You can check out a clip where they talk about it, and they have to basically do some crazy stuff like masturbate in a coffin. And George Bush Jr. made the comment, he said, "Are they still doing that?" So, you know, he didn't have a whole lot of intellect or a whole lot of sense. Anyway, he's not that bright, but because of who he knows, they're billionaires now because they own Shell gas station and they own a lot of the oil places out, you know, in the United States. They get to do whatever they want because they're part of that quote unquote elite group, part of that trilateral commission that we hear about with the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs. All of these people are blood related, you all. And so they try to control your narrative, but we do outnumber them, but they continue to control us with their resources and their money. And they are basically taking, you know, hold of the military as well. So let's continue on with this video.
His father's front had been as a Presbyterian missionary in China, but he was really a spy. As of now, Court TV is back and broadcasting another George Floyd.
Didn't I tell you? I spoke about this last year when it happened, that George Floyd was a PSYOP operation, you all. Shout out to Question Everything with Dredd. He did some coverage on that, and that whole scenario, it looks like they taped the footage before it actually was released to the public, and they waited until they released the footage for a strategic reason. So if you didn't see that video, go back. I had on a green top on my 7 Wonder video, SEVENWONDER, and I spoke in depth about the whole George Floyd situation as well.
Do fake trials count in the law books? I suppose they must, which means the Simpson trial was not only dangerous for itself, as a piece of propaganda, it was dangerous as a legal precedent. This may have been one more premeditated plan by those behind the hoax. Beyond creating racial tension, diverting attention away from real news, and advertising for frogmen, it looks like this trial also served to help destroy the Constitution. All these fake trials set precedent just like real trials, but because they are presided over by Hollywood judges, all law and logic can be ignored. These manufactured judges can just insert whatever they like into future law books.
And I also want you to pay attention to the R. Kelly trial, because I think there's something far more sinister going on with that. I don't know if they're trying to set him as an example of what's to come for other celebrities, but there is something going on with that scenario as well. And people think it's about the abuse of the females. It's not about that. They are setting up a situation for something deeper than what we know. And it has something to do with not just these it has nothing really to do with the females, to be honest, because they already knew that he was doing this, and he's not the only one in Hollywood or the only one in the industry that's doing the same. This is going on all across the industry, you all. You just heard about T.I. and Tiny. You know, it's just that it's not coming to the forefront. They knew about Bill Cosby. It just didn't come to the forefront because allegedly he wanted to buy NBC or whatever network he wanted to purchase. So that's why they set this narrative up when they're ready to, you know, take advantage of a person, because they know all of these people's secrets that they've been doing the whole entire time. And then when they don't make a strategic move, or they make a move that they feel that they should not, this is when they start bringing charges and bringing those people to the forefront. And all of a sudden they have all these women and all of these witnesses. So just watch the same patterns play out over time. This is nothing new, and they use the same trickery over and over and over again, you all. But let's continue with the video.
Violation of Penal Code Section 187.
And from that, she told me about the abuse. She told me that he told the children that he did not love them. She told me that money that had been raised from a benefit, the fundraiser at the Laugh Factory, or I'm not sure if it was the Laugh Factory or somewhere else.
Conrad Robert Murray, guilty. Alleged victim, Michael Joseph Jackson. Alleged date of June 25th, 2009.
Alleged date. Exactly. Alleged date.
Victim, Michael Joseph Jackson. Alleged date of June 25th.
This method is fairly brilliant, I have to admit, because it prevents any appeal. You can't appeal a grand jury decision, since it isn't a court decision. For the same reason, you can't appeal a judge's finding in a probable cause hearing like this, especially when a defendant is ultimately found not guilty. You can't appeal a not guilty verdict, or any part of it, for obvious reasons. The defendant isn't going to appeal it, because he got off, and the prosecution can't appeal, because that would be double jeopardy. Therefore, any ruling by a judge will stand, and can later be used as legal precedent. It is all sneaky in the extreme, especially when used in a fake trial.
Friends would walk up to me and just be like,
so you all, the trials, a lot of the trials that we see play out on TV are fake, fictitious, you all. They've been playing people for years with these same scenarios and these same antics. All for speculation.
Now let's move ahead to the trial itself. We will start with the fact it was televised. Remember earlier we were told the grand jury was dismissed due to excessive media coverage. Do you think the best way to solve that problem is by televising the trial proceedings? Don't we have a grand contradiction right there? Do you really think the best way to stop a media circus is to create an even bigger circus? This one contradiction is enough to blow the entire event. As soon as the trial was televised, everyone should have immediately known it was fake. Therefore, anytime you see a trial for murder being broadcasted on TV, you should know it is California Rules of Court, Photographing, Recording, and Broadcasting in Court. Media coverage may be permitted on the written order of the judge as provided in this subdivision. The judge in his or her discretion may permit, refuse, limit, or terminate media coverage. Factors to be considered by the judge. Here it says, the privacy rights of all participants in the proceeding, including witnesses, jurors, and victims. The privacy and safety of the jurors was ignored.
These jurors were some of the most incompetent jurors I've ever seen in my life. But listen, just listen, you're going to see.
That after all these months of being protected and sheltered, that we were going to be assaulted by the press.
They said that DNA did not matter. This is how incompetent they were. So how in the world were they selected to be jurors?
And it was terrifying. Leaving the courthouse, we're in two vans, just tearing through Santa Monica with this long string of reporters behind us and helicopters. So the deputies pulled the vans into this underground parking lot to get us all into one van. And one of the jurors just ran off.
Quote unquote crisis actors, you all. Crisis actors.
Off through this parking lot. Just, they couldn't stop her. She went and got on the city bus. It seems like there were hundreds of reporters around this cyclone fence trying to get at us. And that night I went to hide out at my sister's house because around my apartment was just swarming with reporters.
Now, they're not going to allow, if jurors are supposed to be sequestered, if you will, they are not going to allow her to hide out at her sister's house because you're not supposed to be discussing the trial with anyone. That's what I thought. They didn't want your opinion to be swayed by anyone. And so they try to sequester you so you're not contaminated with your way of thinking about the trial. So how was she able to go to her sister's house?
Because it was surreal and it got really weird real fast.
The website of the California courts tell us an experimental rule was adopted in 1984, but regardless of how these rules changes came about, broadcasting from court is a terrible idea. While we're on the jurors, here's another thing I find strange. Here's a list of the 12 final jurors. The lady in the clip who claims she was one of the jurors. Her name is Dina Lynn Mullen. Strangely, she gave a detailed description of being a juror, but was not listed as one of the final jurors. She claimed to be there until it was over. So that proves she wasn't one of the ones that was dismissed. They give us so many twists and turns they don't expect you to pick up on the inconsistencies. The entire court show was just that, a show. Anyone can see that intelligence wishes to broadcast court proceedings for one reason and one reason only: to better propagandize America. They decided it was the only thing that limited them in older trials. Although they were able to create a circus without TV cameras in the courtroom, it was thought an even brighter and louder circus could be created by broadcasting all the clowns and puppets in their full technicolor glory. In 1979, Ted Bundy's criminal trial was the first trial to be nationally televised. So the first trial shown on TV was a PSYOP. Ted Bundy was scripted, a government operation, but more on that another time. Then we get the choice of Marcia Clark as lead prosecutor. Let's see, Marcia Clark versus John Cochran, Robert Shapiro, F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, Robert Kardashian, Gerald Ullman, Robert Glacier, Carl Douglas.
You all know that Robert Kardashian is Kim Kardashian's father, you all. Apparently he died in like 2004, 2005. And allegedly Johnny Cochran died around 2001. I think both of them had some form of brain cancer or something to that effect. But don't you find it very funny and very ironic that Kim Kardashian has reached the status and the level of which she has reached since her father's passing? And all of this was tied into knowing O.J. Simpson,
Barry Scheck, and Peter Neufeld. And you wonder why she didn't win. You realize Marcia Clark wasn't even the district attorney. She was the deputy DA. The deputy DA don't normally prosecute major felonies. If they lead a prosecution, it is normally for misdemeanors. So where was the DA? Did he have something more important to do? Bill Garcetti was the LA County DA from 1992 to 2000. So where was he in 1994? It is said that Garcetti oversaw the prosecution of the fallen football legend. I'll say maybe since Gil Garcetti bio includes producer and actor, my guess is he was one of the people consulting and producing the O.J. Simpson scripted trial. Clark is said to have compiled 19 consecutive murder convictions, but no evidence to back that up. As just one example, lawbrain.com tells us that she convicted Christopher Johnson in 1991. I found nothing on that. That is the same year she is supposed to have convicted Robert John Bardo of murdering actress Rebecca Schaefer. Unfortunately, that conviction is also suspicious. It was achieved in a bench trial. That is, with no jury trial. That is next to impossible since a jury trial is required for all first-degree murder convictions. You should also know that Marcia Clark retired right after the Simpson verdict, being paid $4.2 million for a book contract. She then became a commentator for Entertainment Tonight. This is not the normal career path of a prosecutor.
Yeah, Marcia Clark thought. I mean, I was surprised to see the other day. She looks like a totally different person. This lady, I know what she did with that $4 million. It's all in her face.
Hear how he's laughing and giggling because it's all a big game and a joke to him, and he knows it.
I find these very curious facts about Marcia Clark. Clark's passion was drama. She studied ballet, took lead roles in high school plays, and later, as a student at the University of California, Los Angeles, briefly toured with a professional dance company. How many prosecuting attorneys do you know were professional dancers? How many are married twice by the time they are 25, once to a hustler and once to a Scientology executive? Scientology is a CIA front. Marcia Clark has CIA markers all over her. Remember, Tupac was also involved in the arts, and the number of red flags on him are staggering.
Well, you notice how feminine you notice how feminine Tupac was, and we can't deny that we didn't see that video when he was doing ballet and doing his hand like this and making little gestures, and he said that he had a feminine soft side.
You want to get hired before?
He also reminds me of Young Pharaoh, you all. Did you see the video where Young Pharaoh was going like this? Did you see that? We're going to examine that as well. That's why I say be very careful and very mindful about idol worship, you all. There are people still in his comment section saying that they're still going to support him. They're still going to donate. They're still behind him. They still believe in him. And silly being led down the road to oblivion. You cannot feel sorry for people like when you see it in your right in your face, and you continue to be trickered and suckered into nonsense. You can't feel sorry for people once you've shown them the evidence and they still choose to do the opposite of what they know is not even the right thing for them as a whole, as a collective. I can't feel sorry for people like that. And this is how the government plays trickery on people. They try to put the truth in your face by lying to you, and people fall for it. So be real careful with people like this because they're very deceptive.
I encourage you to check out the Tupac series. You can connect almost every celebrity death using that template. All these people are actors. Marcia Clark is said to have gained the convictions of 4 gang members in the Michelle Ann White and Brian Harris in 1985. But she didn't graduate from law school until 1979 and didn't become a prosecutor until 1981. We are supposed to believe that 4 years later she was leading the prosecution in a famous double. It doesn't work that way. In fact, the LA Times admitted that Harvey Giss was the prosecutor in the case. And if we study the case, we find more red flags popping up. Let's move on to the jury. The jury composition broke down as 9 black jurors, 1 Hispanic and 2 white. There were 10 women and 2 men, 9 black jurors. The jury was 83% female and 75% black. It was 83% non-white. It's strange that they didn't get a prosecution of a black man. Right. We are told they moved the venue to LA, with some fearing this would increase the number of non-whites in the jury pool. But 83% non-white. Who thought this was a good way to get a conviction? If you were prosecuting a black man, would this be the jury you would seat? We have been told that the prosecutors, including Clark, thought that black women would lean to conviction because they were women. What novel theory of human psychology was that based on? On the contrary, I would assume black women would have a soft spot for black men, and for an attractive black man most of all. The amount of racial tension pumped into the public, of course, most of those that share the same ethnicity would stand up for each other.
100% not guilty. Who framed OJ? I don't know.
Yeah, I heard about it. OJ ain't gonna kill nobody. He's rich.
The police found a bloody glove on OJ's property.
Sir, I'm not impressed, all right? What black man don't have some bloody gloves on his property? Man, that glove right here. I don't mean I did anything.
Are you suggesting that because there may have been some minor oversights in the investigation that it completely let OJ off the hook?
Exactamundo. The defense rests, sir.
Mr. Chappelle, no further questions! Will you at least admit that OJ more than likely killed his wife?
Sir, my blackness will not permit me to make a statement.
Now let's look briefly at one of the defenders, Robert Kardashian. Red flags all over, not the least of which is the subsequent fame of his family for doing nothing. You should ask where these people came from, and why they are so famous. The answer: because they are promoted by intelligence. They are part of the current diversion. Robert was part of the diversion in 1994, since at the time he wasn't even a practicing attorney. From the published records, we can't figure out who Robert Kardashian really was, but Wikipedia admits he hadn't practiced law since the 1970s. In 1973 he co-founded Radio and Records, a music trade publication that competed with Billboard. I assume it was a CIA front. In 1979 Kardashian sold it, but we aren't told to whom. It ended up going to Westwood One in 1987, which was owned by Viacom, CBS. CBS has been run by intelligence almost from the beginning. From 1979 to 1994, Kardashian's history is a blank. All we can glean from the mainstream story is that he and OJ were friends, sometimes living together and often getting women. My guess is that Kardashian was Simpson's handler during the trial and probably during the years prior. In short, he was Simpson's brain. Due to his fame and his looks, Simpson was a very useful agent, but he was never known for his intelligence. Like many other famous personalities in the LA scene, Simpson needed a full-time handler.
Asshole! Asshole!
Our top story at 4 o'clock. Victims of a double 4 News has learned that investigators are examining new key evidence that links O.J. Simpson to the
What about themselves? Also BS. As we did in all other events, we just have to study the photos. They were allegedly approximately 10 p.m. on the night of June 12. Police just after midnight on June 13th. More research on Nicole pulls up more interesting facts. Did you know her father was the captain in the Air Force? Did you know he had Alzheimer's near the end and died believing Nicole was still alive?
Right next to me is Ron Goldman, a 23-year-old tennis pro. Give him a big hand for coming out.
Mainstream press cares about accuracy in this event. This leads us to ask, what did Fred do for a living before he became rich from this event? What was he doing in Chicago before coming to LA? I suspect Navy. What was he doing in LA? I suspect military intelligence. Why has all information about these people been scrubbed? The LA Times reported that Fred left a job of 30 years in sales in 1996. Sales? That could mean anything or nothing. If he worked for a company, tell us what company. If he sold used books, tell us that. These dodges like sales are just more red flags. What's even more strange is Ron Goldman seems to hint towards something happening a year before his alleged murder.
Very glad that I was able to be here and spend this time with you, because God knows where I'll be in a year.
The next year, the script unfolded and he was gone. This reminds me of someone most people don't know about. A guy by the name of Nelson Sullivan in the 1980s. He filmed various events throughout that decade and is now regarded as a form of pre-internet vlogging. I believe they also faked his death. Listen to the last video he recorded.
They're running all the way out there to the end of the pier, but I don't feel like running today. It's July the 3rd and it's the last day I'm going to have not to be running.
It's July the 3rd and it's the last day I'm going to have not to be running.
After he states it's July 3rd his last day, the very next day on July 4th, he allegedly died. He literally told us. But back to the
Also, you all, let me point this out. If you pay attention to a lot of these rappers a lot of these entertainers and their music, they predict their deaths. Tupac was one of them. Biggie was another one, life after death. We are aware of Illuminati, aka Illuminati. So these people in the 7-day Machiavelli theory, they're putting it right in your face, literally.
Freeway past the 55 freeway. O.J. Simpson is believed to be in the white Bronco that you see in the center of your picture, followed by as many as 9.
Think about everybody else, right?
On the freeway, I can't do it in a field. I want to do it at a grave. I want to do it at my house.
You're not going to do anything.
The slow-speed police chase was clearly staged, a live video. Notice the highway, the clearest I've ever saw on LA freeway. Sure, the police was stopping traffic from miles ahead, which is all the more reason they could have stopped OJ and his friend from going any further. In fact, I'd say O.J. Simpson was not inside the Bronco. It is said he was ducked down in the back while his friend drove, but we never saw O.J. step out of the Bronco. Why put the star of the show in danger by being in a fake chase on the highway? That's what stunt doubles are for.
Watching O.J. Simpson pull into his driveway. Al Callings, who was at the wheel, apparently is telling whoever came up there to get out of the way. O.J. Simpson is in the back of this vehicle. It has tinted windows. We're unable to see a clear picture of him.
Side of the vehicle.
Okay, someone just got out of the vehicle. At this point in time, from this vantage point, it was difficult to see or positively identify that individual.
But notice during the police chase there's people holding signs. How could anyone possibly make a sign that fast off breaking news? Clearly, those signs were made well in advance, making the entire event obviously staged.
People have pulled over, many of them carrying signs such as signs reading things like "Save the Juice," "Go OJ." People are literally cheering him on.
That's true. Where did they get
this? Was the best Ford commercial I have ever seen. Isn't it ironic that Ford canceled the Bronco in 1996, and 4 years later they released the Ford Escape?
You got a new Escape!
They also plan to release the new 2021 Bronco on O.J. Simpson's birthday. Ford has decided to move the Bronco reveal to July 13th after they realized. You're right.
Introducing the return of legend, the all-new Bronco two-door.
These people are a mess.
There was a time when I barely...
It's ridiculous, y'all. Like, it doesn't stop with the antics. And they will continue the narrative that's going to lead you down the path of nowhere. AKA with the whole Nipsey Hussle thing. Everybody that came on YouTube that had a video screen thought they were an investigator. Everybody was trying to do investigative research for Kanika Jenkins. Everybody that thought they had a microphone and a camera came on when they tried to come and do research for R. Kelly. Everybody thought they were a journalist and a news reporter for this R. Kelly trial when it came out back in January of the other year, y'all. And it is ridiculous because a lot of people that come onto the platform need not be on the platform, in my personal humble opinion. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm going to let that go. So let's skip past this commercial and continue on here.
Home of the movie industry, real-life drama is bigger business than any soap opera today. A village of satellite dishes and broadcast equipment has sprung up around the Los Angeles courthouse to beam the trial of actor and...
Now let's focus on acting. Although they were hired to play the roles, we still see their acting being terrible at times. From smiles to crying, it's all very clear in this day and age. They even gave clues in the media.
The O.J. Simpson murder case was the first true reality show.
A real-life soap opera with a cast of characters who became household names.
With a cast of characters.
A cast of characters played their part. Lives changed forever, and the trial of the century now cemented in pop culture.
They're all just involved in this psychological operation. Let's take Ron Goldman's alleged girlfriend. Watch as she smiles while trying to act as if she's hurt by the loss. She struggles with tears, fake emotions, no tears.
You know, my 56 years on. And then I was expecting someone with is going. Like 15, 16 years of my life.
This O.J. Simpson interrogation is one of the most obvious signs of acting, and it's bad acting. Many times when you watch a bad performance, you will see the actor give a general reaction to a very specific set of circumstances. When this happens, it comes off as disingenuous. Watch as O.J. try conveying emotions of shock and nervousness. He does a horrible job.
But then this photo surfaced of Simpson wearing Bruno Mali's shoes 9 months before the murders took place.
Y'all remember those Bruno Mali shoes? Y'all remember the shoes, y'all? And y'all remember this right here? Like, he has a horrific way of acting. He was never a good actor, you all, at all. But this whole thing, in my personal opinion, was staged. The entire thing was staged.
Look at his reaction when he's called back to give another deposition and is shown the photo.
That is a picture of you looking at Exhibit 1, correct? Appears to be me, yes.
Not to forget Mark, our victim's advocate.
My family cried. We were so stunned. I mean, I at least thought that there was going to be a hung jury. I guess I just still had that hope of it being a hung jury, but I couldn't cry.
Because of racism, we should put aside all other thought, all other reason.
Nicole were butchered.
Nicole's former lover, Keith Slomsowicz.
I can't believe it.
O.J. Simpson mocks the public, and while the masses think O.J. is simply taunting the idea that he got away with double murder, he's really making a joke out of what everyone believes. The joke's on you.
After we finished filming, O.J. said to me that he had a surprise for me, and this is it.
A strategically thought-out script that gathered the emotions of the public. The joke's on you.
Did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope. Did not do it.
These people are incredibly bold because they have no respect for your intelligence. I bet most top people in Hollywood know of things like the whole Simpson trial being fake. They know because all top actors go through a crisis. To be one of the A-listers, you must go to trial. You must go to a celebrity prison. You must look crazy, etc.
It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
And in conclusion, we see that both. We also saw the creation of fake precedent in by judges, further eroding the legal system as a whole. We saw the creation of racial tension to keep blacks and whites looking suspiciously at one another instead. But the main end of this event was misdirection. There were things going on in 1994-95 that they wanted to keep your eyes off. They manufactured big events to keep your eyes off real history happening just beyond your line of sight. If they can keep you watching this circus for more than a year, you will have missed all of their real crimes during that time. Well, the world was watching Simpson drive around in a white truck and try on gloves. The real world passes by them, keeping everyone living in the Matrix. I started out by reminding you that Simpson was allegedly born in 1947, the year of the CIA. Even now, you probably think that is just a coincidence. It isn't. Since these events are scripted from the ground up, almost nothing in them is a coincidence. They can choose their actors as well as their birth dates, and they do these things to signal each other, play with numerology, and just to toy with your mind. I believe they actually changed his birth year in the records to match their numerology. It is now the super rich versus everyone else. You can believe the lies or you can understand that they feed us lies to keep power. No matter where you are living, you have been infiltrated. The answer is to fight back in more logical ways. Just as they are organized, you should organize. First, organize your thoughts. Learn how things really are. Take back your mind.
All right. So this was a very good synopsis of what I meant when I told you PSYOP, you all, PSYOP, infiltrators. And we're going to further examine this a little bit more because it extends far beyond this as well. Now, you all know this trial took place back in '94. Everybody was a very, very emotionally invested into this trial. You all, I used to watch it every single day when I came home from school. This is what was on the news. This is what everybody was so heavily invested into. And it caused a lot of divisiveness between the melanated individuals and the Caucasians. And this was done intentionally. You just saw they passed the '94 crime bill. And I think that was during the time in which Bill Clinton was in office, and that was targeted against melanated men. Okay. You all, so many atrocities take place against melanated people. It's not even funny. Let's see if we can find something else, because I wanted us to take a look at the Nipsey Hussle situation. So many people are so enamored with Nipsey Hussle. You know, they can't believe that he would be a part of this, but it is my personal opinion that he is as well. So let's continue to go on. Somebody mistook a Tupac Shakur unemployment claim. The illusion of reality. Oh, you could definitely go on here and check this out for yourself. There is one on here where Tupac is all over this. Let me see if I can find one with him or with Nipsey Hussle, you all. All right, let me see what this is about. See what this looks like. Commercial time. All right.
This album cover is the...
Let's go ahead and share the screen so you all can take a look at this, because I know a lot of people are heavily invested in Tupac. I used to be as well. I have a Tupac poster right in here somewhere that I need to get rid of if I haven't already gotten rid of it, that my mother bought me. That's how much I liked Tupac, you all. I used to be really into Tupac. But I guess, you know, we're all enamored by their characters, you know, so just be very mindful. All right, let's go ahead and play.
Four horsemen of the apocalypse. A rider on a white horse, on a red horse, on a black horse, and on an axe horse. All bring horrible things.
If the prophecy has begun, then the terrors these four horsemen bring have already arrived. The Antichrist.
Will come preaching peace. This will be a person who will be so persuasive and such a lover of peace that people will be drawn to him and say, let's let him lead us instead of all these politicians.
The word apocalypse is defined as a widespread destruction or a prophetic revelation of revealing hidden information. The presence of four horsemen signified the revealing of a prophecy. Thus, this album cover is the introduction of Tupac's Black Jesus prophet character, because the presence of the four horsemen signify the revealing of a prophecy. See those black hoods that the four men are wearing that are completely covering their eyes. This is the Masonic initiation ritual of hoodwinking, where they cover the initiate's eyes to induct the candidate into acquiring the disclosure or revelation of new knowledge. Hood means head covering, such as hat, helmet, hood, and wink means to close the eyes or wince. Thus a hoodwink is a headdress that covers the eyes during an initiation ritual. Tupac's Black Jesus, initiating the four men with his prophetic revelation on the perils of the black community. police brutality, violence, murder, gun violence, poverty, etc.
Let's talk about the reality of police brutality. Let's talk about the reality of a situation like Rodney King. It's songs talking about strong black men fighting back, you know what I'm saying, against an oppressor.
You'll notice that the words "Tupacalypse Now" is colored in blue and red on the album cover. Tupac is colored blue, while the ellipse now is colored red. Think of red, blue Masonic lodges. Red, blue, Bloods and Crips. It was styled on the Black Panther Party, which was formed 3 years earlier by Agent Huey P. Newton and Agent Bobby Seale. It's all Masonic, hence why the Crips and Bloods rap album cover shows both gangs standing on the checkerboard floor. Red is the color of the regeneration of life and the rebirth reform of souls, whereas blue is the sacred color of divinity, immortality and universality. An apocalypse is an announcement of a revelation. A revelation is a disclosure of information to man by a divine or supernatural agency. Thus, Tupac's name was in blue, the color of divinity, on the album cover, because he is supposed to be the proverbial Black Jesus, giving a divine message or prophecy on the troubles of the Black community. He's supposed to be the messianic leader figure, divine voice of his people fighting against the corrupt system.
And word, that's what this is. It's just soul music. It's like music for us to carry on with, for us to move on. It's battle songs. It's songs talking about strong black men fighting back, you know what I'm saying, against an oppressed. You never hear me say a song about me just walking up and shooting a cop. It's always provoked, you know what I'm saying? It's always self-defense. And that's, I want to get that strength back.
The Tupacalypse Now album is named after the film Apocalypse Now, a movie about a U.S. government military official being sent on a mission to assassinate a colonel who established himself as a god messianic figure. This is identical to people's idea that the government was on a mission to murder Tupac once he debuted, because he was exposing them, because he was a prophet and was going to lead the Black community, so the government killed him. The Illuminati was after him, so they assassinated him, and so forth. Coincidence? Nope. It all goes back to COINTELPRO. They wanted to counter the possibility of a Black messianic figure rising from poverty to lead and electrify the Black community. To stop this from happening, they manufactured one themselves. Who did they choose? Tupac. The messianic Black Jesus symbolism on his first and last album and throughout the rest of his career and artwork is a reference to all of this, him being created to be a faux prophetic leader, rebelling against the government, hence why he was named after Tupac Amaru, a rebel who led an uprising against the government. The story of Jesus is a collection of allegorical stories meant to personify an entity as a hero. The Jesus storyline gets copied over and over whenever the elite manufacture hero figures, because it is a universal narrative that people have already been programmed to respect. You know how they say Jesus was killed by his own people? That's what they were trying to convey by having Tupac Black Jesus killed by gangbangers through his affiliation with Death Row, making it seem like he was murdered by one of his brothers like Jesus. Plus, it is likely an inside joke given that the Bloods and Crips were created from the Black Panther Party when they disbanded. If you notice, Tupac's scripted life story followed this Jesus narrative to a T, because it is what effectively built his character up as a Black Jesus prophet leader. These symbols are powerful and have manifested on a subconscious level to his fans and listeners. Hence why they believe him to be a literal martyr. April 4th. Easter is the most important Christian festival of the year. It's when Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Bible says that Christ died on the cross on a day called Good Friday. According to the Bible, Jesus was then resurrected and came back to life on Easter Sunday. Hence, this is why they resurrected Tupac 11 days after Easter. April 15. A hologram of Tupac performed on stage during the 2012 Coachella. And what's the first song they chose to perform? Hail Mary.
They know that a lot of people don't understand that they're practicing rituals in front of your face. And we're going to further examine that, because I'm also going to point out a character by the name of Young Pharaoh. You are very familiar with him in the quote unquote woke or conscious community. He tried to separate himself from Sinetta. All these people, you all, have been orchestrated to be put into the forefront in front of us for a reason. They are PSYOPs. These are CIA agents. And even Young Pharaoh has a music video called Ritual, you all. And a lot of people have been comparing him to Tupac. My question is, from where do these people derive? Okay, think about it, because they give them a background. They give them, you just saw they gave OJ his birth date. So they can do whatever they want, and they play on numerology for a reason. So let's get back into the stream, you all.
Listen to Hail Mary, where he chants, God said he should send his one begotten Son to lead the wild into the ways of the man. Follow me, eat my flesh, my flesh is my flesh.
And God said he should send his one begotten Son to lead the wild into the ways of the man. Follow me, eat my flesh, flesh of my flesh. And God said he should send his one begotten Son to lead the wild into the ways of the man. Follow me, eat my flesh, flesh of my flesh.
For blasphemy, where he says they say Moses split the Red Sea, I split the blunt and roll a fat one. I'm deadly. Babylon beware.
It's like melanated people want so badly to believe in someone instead of believing in themselves, their individual selves. We need to dig back into our power from within and stop idolizing these quote unquote celebrities. These people are nothing but human beings, just like the rest of us. Do not put any man above you on a pedestal, any female on a pedestal. These people just have public exposure because they were given a platform, and they're infiltrated by the CIA and put into the forefront to basically lead you to the path of nowhere, to make you think you're going somewhere, but you're not going anywhere. Stop looking for leaders, y'all. That's my message here. But let's continue with this video.
Babylon beware. Babylon beware.
Tell me I ain't God's son, mama virgin.
Tell me I ain't God's son, nigga mama virgin. Tell me I ain't God's son, nigga mama virgin.
Or more importantly, brothers getting shot, coming back resurrected.
Brothers getting shot, coming back resurrected. Brothers getting shot, coming back resurrected.
Look at the title of his film called Tupac Resurrection, released 7 years after the metaphorical death. Thus he came back after 7 years, just like how Jesus is supposed to come back after 7 years. Look at the logo for the All Eyes on Me film, which was a cross. Notice at the end of the movie they played gospel music.
When Jesus died for you and me. Just praise God.
Look at the events in his scripted arrest, trial, death, crucifixion, and resurrection. Look at how the character died on Friday the 13th, Good Friday, just like Jesus. Look into how he claimed he was shot 5 times, just as how Jesus received the 5 holy wounds.
I got shot 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know what I mean? And I got crucified to the media. You know what I mean? And I walked through with the thorns on. And I had shit thrown on me. And I had this thief at the top. I told that nigga I'll be back for you. Like, trust me, I'll be back. So I'm not saying I'm Jesus.
This was not done by accident. Symbols have a powerful effect on our subconscious mind, and people familiarized with the story of Jesus will subconsciously pick up on the similarities and begin to associate Tupac with Jesus as they've already done. Look at how many Pac fans say that he was a prophet, a reincarnation of Jesus.
Church for Black Jesus. 40 jewels and shit, you know what I mean? Straight tatted up.
I believe in you for everything you do. Just wanna let you know I'm weeping like Jesus.
We believed in you for everything you do. Just wanna let you know what you heard.
They're basically just playing with your mind, playing with your senses, playing with your emotions, playing with your psyche, you all.
In the background of the 7-Day Theory album cover, there is a black sky. Black is the symbolic color of death and the hidden unknown. The Machiavelli album cover shows Tupac being crucified, which represents the death of his character. Tupac passing into the realms of immortalization and eternalization through its allegorical death. But the physical man remains existing, symbolizing a resurrection. Suge Knight called himself Simon on the 7-Day Theory album. Simon was an apostle who witnessed the resurrection and witnessed Jesus coming back to life, and Simon's presence represents the fulfillment of a messianic prophecy, hence why Suge Knight, also known as Simon, was the person Tupac was last seen alive with in the last car photo. The 5 holy wounds are the 5 piercing wounds that Jesus received during the crucifixion. On the Machiavelli album cover you can see that Tupac receives 5 wounds, 2 wounds in both of his hands, 2 in both feet, and the 5th wound is the gunshot wound below his breastplate. One of his fingers is pointing to the letter E, and also pointing to the 7th red marking at the top of the album. E is the 5th letter in the English alphabet. 5 is the number of dominion over the natural forces of the spirit, to reach a state of eternity and immortality. 5 symbolizes life from the physical plane to the spiritual plane. Note that on the Machiavelli album cover, the water lake behind him is red. This reflects the blood of Christ or the sacrificial lamb as the means of redemption of humanity. Hip-hop. There is also a compass on the very top of the cross that Tupac is being crucified on. The compass is a Masonic emblem of the heavens and the mortal spiritual nature of man, symbolizing the transition from life to death. And that's it. The programming or prophecy is complete. He fulfilled the role. His character died and became immortalized. Fans view him as a prophet who was killed by the government, which is the exact storyline and plot of the film Apocalypse Now that his debut album was named after. He is the god of rap who was crucified by the media and killed off or sacrificed before he could start a political party and lead his people.
By the next election, I promise. By the next election, I promise. I'm gonna be sitting across from all the candidates. I bet you we will have our own political party.
These words and names are being used in hoaxes, folks. You understand? And the son is being used in hoaxes like Charles Mann's son, and you got O.J. Simpson and Fred Goldman. You understand, folks? Oh, and by the way, you're going to see a lot of the Christ and the Ram and the son in these rappers, the Jew puppets, and make fools out of themselves and make people think that they're feuding and killing each other, but of course it's all a game, folks. So you got remember I told you Tupac never died, he was never murdered, it's a hoax, 100%. Anyway, Tupac Amaru Shakur was his name, and you got the ram right there. The ram is Satan, so the serpent is the Satan. Anyway, his name is Tupac Amaru Shakur. So you got the ram, and who was he with that night he was supposedly killed? He was with Mary and Suge Knight. That's right. So you got the ram and Mary, and you see what I'm talking about. He's got the ram and he's got the ram. And they were there to watch a boxing match. And who was boxing that night? It was Mike Tyson. So you got the son again right there. And then after the match, somewhere after the match, they had a scuffle with a gang member. And what was this gang member's name? His name was Orlando Anderson. Another son, folks. And then what happened after the scuffle, folks? They were driving on Flamingo Road. That's right, folks. Flamingo, you got the lamb right there in Flamingo, folks. And wherever there's a lamb, there's going to be a sacrifice, folks. That's right, because the Jews love to sacrifice the lamb. And you know who the lamb is? That's Christ. The Jews killed Christ, folks. That's right. And where is the Christ? It's, look, folks, Christ is right here, right under it. The sergeant who came after they were shot. That's right, folks. They were shot. Both of them, Marion, Suge Knight, and Tupac were both shot multiple times. Yeah, right. He wasn't shot. They're full of Anyway, so you, like I said, you got the lamb, and then who came to the scene? The officer. His name was Chris Carroll. So you got the CC right there, folks. You got the CC for the 33 hoax code. And of course, you have the Chris for the Christ. And what was Tupac's final words to this sergeant? Because the sergeant says he was asking, who shot you, Tupac? And Tupac told him, fuck you. That's right, folks. Who do you think they're saying fuck you to? They're saying it to Christ. Don't you understand? That's how sick they are.
The street, Flamingo, that Tupac metaphorically died on, was not a coincidence. It served an esoteric purpose in his exit story, as it is also symbolic of death and rebirth. In Egyptian mythology, the flamingo became Bennu, who was the inspiration for the phoenix bird in Greek mythology. Bennu is an ancient Egyptian Kemetic deity symbolizing creation, the sun, and rebirth. The flamingo turned into Bennu, which turned into Phoenix. Phoenix symbolized the obtainment of a new life by arising from the ashes of its predecessor and being reborn. The flamingo phoenix symbolizes rebirth and resurrection as well as death and revival. Thus, by the physical man still being alive, he was resurrected from the ashes of his deceased character. The Vegas incident is emblematic of his revival, rebirth, and metaphorical death. They shrouded this whole thing in a very esoteric coded language.
Anything that I would not do since I died without you.
Hulu ad man.
Without you, oh, I apologize for all the things I've done. But now I'm underwater and
Tupac's Exodus cross tattoo on his back reads, Exodus 1831. The word Exodus means the mass departure of people. Exodus 1831 specifies different theories. He claimed that this was in relation to Nat Turner's rebellion. One theory states that it refers to a verse from the Bible. However, the Bible, chapter 18 finishes with verse 27, so Exodus verse 1831 is non-existent. But the verse below Exodus 16:31 reads, And so the people rested on the seventh day. Thus, the 7-day theory. Tupac rested on the seventh day from September 7th to September 13th. Tupac also has skull and bones tattoo on his arm. The skull and bones is Masonic. It is a symbol of mortality. Symbolically, it indicates that death is a doorway, not to be feared. Hence, why below the skull tattoo it says, My only fear of death is being reincarnated. This tattoo says, Be ambitious with love, while young. It's a skull goon with a bandana over its mouth, and a money sign on the beanie that he is wearing. When he says be ambitious with love, he is referring to the love of money, hence why the goon is holding a scale with money in its hand. The scale represents equilibrium, precise measurement. The balance scales was needed to ensure equilibrium and justice in the monetary exchange, so he expects to get paid in accordance with the effort that he puts into playing the role. Bandanas being worn over the mouth symbolizes hiding the identity, thus he is hiding who he truly is. So this tattoo just symbolizes his chase for money, selling himself out for the almighty dollar, and hiding who he truly is. There's a baby on one side of the scale and bars of gold in the other side of the scale. That symbolizes him being born into the role, and will be monetarily rewarded for it, thus it creates a balance. He also has a tattoo of Jesus being crucified on a burning cross with the words, Only God can judge me next to it. The burning cross is used as a declaration of war. He also has skulls next to the crucifix. Skulls symbolize death and mortality. So he's declaring war and death on Jesus and clearly has some sort of remorse behind it, hence why he defends himself by saying, Only God can judge me. Then there's the Nefertiti tattoo with the words to die for written below it. Nefertiti was married to Akhenaten, an Egyptian pharaoh who is believed to be Moses of the Bible. Moses led the exodus of the Israelite slaves out of Egypt and across the Red Sea. So there's another connection to the Exodus tattoo on his back.
The reign of Nefertiti and her husband Amenhotep IV was a turbulent time in Egyptian history. The couple tossed out the old gods and set up a new religion that gave them absolute power over all their subjects.
Tupac's euthanasia logo is a fallen angel. A fallen angel is an angel that fell from grace, kicked out of heaven. Hence, the bolts of lightning out of the night sky towards his grave on the Hail Mary video. In the Bible, the angel, Satan, Lucifer, is said to have fallen to earth like a bolt of lightning. This speaks of the myth of the war in heaven, and the battle between the forces of Lucifer and those of Michael, the latter being the angel who struck down Lucifer, casting him down onto the matrix of the earth. Snake is a serpent. Tupac's name means shining serpent, in the form of piano keys around the fallen angel's body. Lucifer is a fallen angel, who was the head of the ministry of music in heaven, when he was in heaven. It has been said of him he was the most beautiful of all angels, and he was the director of the flow of music there, praise and worship. No one can say that Pac wasn't praised or worshipped. Let's face it. It's the devil, Lucifer, Satan, that they sell their souls to for fame. The halo is symbolic of rings of Saturn. In the past, Saturn was the worshipped planet as the god. Hence you get the name Satan. All words derive from sound, so Satan and Saturn sound the same, but spelled differently. Saturn is the seventh planet from Earth. Saturn is also where Saturday comes from. Also the seventh day of the week, not Sunday like Christianity and other religions claim. Sunday is the first day. Don't forget God said let there be light. What provides our light? The sun. September 7th, 96 was a Saturday. The seventh day. Lucifer, Saturn, Satan, is Lord of the Rings. What is a halo? A ring. No good angel would wear a halo. They only depict all angels having halos to deceive and confuse. Lucifer called his band of fallen angels immortals. What did Tupac call the outlaws? Outlaw immortals. What do the elites strive for? Immortality.
The outlaw immortals. Do you know who the fuck we are, like, nigga?
Why would a good angel have a snake, serpent around him? Why have a fallen angel medallion if he was supposed to be a soldier of God?
And that Tupac worked like a demon to make sure that he had, and that Tupac worked like a demon.
666, it has multiple meanings. It represents the Merkaba, the Star of David, the 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, carbon-12 structure that composes human DNA. Christians get the number 666 from the verse in Revelation 13:16. The hand sign where you hold 3 fingers up, the circle also represents the female genitalia and means infinity or perfection. Others believe that it is the sun deity, Lucifer, the goddess and the beast, Antichrist, 666, all in one unitary hand sign. It's an ancient Masonic hand symbol. Here's how they define it. The yoni is simply their method of vowing mutual friendship, and is similar in meaning to swearing by the grasping of the phallus, and like our uplifted hand, and like when taking an oath is an appeal to the divine creator as a witness of truth and goodwill. This is an ancient and modern symbol, often worn as an amulet. It contains libations which are poured upon the phallus, but more especially upon the prolific womb. So yes, people will define it differently, since it has become a universal hand symbol meaning okay. Christians see it as the mark of the beast, whereas Freemasons view it as a symbol of the female genitalia. The circle made with the fingers represents the vesica piscis, which is the shape of the vulva. It represents the prolific womb which when combined with the phallus represents divine creation.
Beside you, I ain't stopping till the show is over. Cause I'm a rider, in and out just like a robbery. In and out just like a robbery. I'll probably be a freak and let you get on top of.
When he does that hand sign, he says in and out just like a robbery, which ties into the Freemasons' meaning. So that was a Masonic hand gesture depicting the vulva, which combined with a phallus equals sexual intercourse. It's an ancient occult symbol that symbolizes the female genitalia.
Our relationship was really a relationship that we searched for knowledge, we explored together. And I'll just tell you a book right now, it's been around for a long time. It's called Ponder on This.
Tupac studied writings of Alice Bailey. Satanist Alice Bailey allegedly created a 10-point plan, and here's some of those plans.
Number 1, take God out of church. Number 3, destroy the Judeo-Christian family structure. 6, make homosexuality alternative lifestyle. Number 8, use media to change the mindset. Number 10, get government to make all of these laws and get the church to endorse these changes.
The fake stories about him shooting 2 cops and the fake stories of him starting a political party. It's all lies and fiction to convince people that he was an activist for the black community, so that when he is killed off, it will look as though the government assassinated him. That's it. You've manufactured and created a hero. It's social engineering at its finest. Build someone up and then pretend to kill them off. And then you worship them.
Real son, is it really real son? Let me know what's real son.
The newest NDA wasn't just reauthorizing the indefinite detention of American citizens. It also allowed the U.S. government to legally carry out misinformation campaigns against the citizens of this country. But is this really surprising to anyone? I mean, the corporate media is basically a propaganda arm of the U.S. government anyways, isn't it? Why they need to legalize the use of propaganda when you already have an entire mainstream media establishment lacking to the white and the biggest press readers and countless Operation Mockingbird still isn't in effect. Well,
now, you know, I speak a lot about Operation Mockingbird in my videos. If you haven't seen me speak about it, check out my other YouTube channel. That's SEVEN space WONDER. Put in hashtag BGAB. I should come up. I have videos where I discuss that on my channel.
we don't.
uncontested fact that the CIA has enjoyed a long, intimate relationship with some of the largest news organizations in the world, and has used this relationship to manipulate, censor, and even fabricate news stories in support of its own covert agenda. The ties between the intelligence community and the news organizations were formalized at the highest levels of management and ownership, and included, according to Bernstein, cooperation with media tycoons like Arthur Hayes Sulzberger of the New York Times, Henry Luce of Time Inc., and William Paley of CBS. Toward the end of his career, Sig Mickelson, the head of CBS News in the 1950s and the man credited with launching the career of the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite, admitted that CBS News worked closely with the CIA.
With launching the career of the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite, admitted that CBS News worked closely with the CIA.
Allen Dulles, they have Washington, D.C. has Dulles Airport. And so it is my opinion, yeah. So that airport is named after him. It's an international airport where you fly there and then you fly internationally to Europe. I know we flew out there to Germany when we moved out that way. So they name a lot of the airports after these characters, after these politicians, after these people. You know, there's the John F. Kennedy Airport. I think even the Bushes have an airport out in Texas. So you all just be very mindful that a lot of history, a lot of the names that we see all around and across the United States are tied heavily into these Europeans and into these CIA agents and these political people that we see. I don't know what's up with all this spooky music, but I have to basically mute that. Goodness. Enough is enough.
And the man credited with launching the career of the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite, admitted that CBS News worked closely with the CIA.
Yo, this is Walter Cronkite. I mean, Tupac. I be getting confused.
Yo, this is Walter Cronkite. I mean, Tupac. I be getting confused. Ladies, kids, but things change. That's the way it is. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
Over the years, numerous specific examples of the agency's manipulation of the news media have surfaced, including multiple instances where stories that had been outright fabricated by CIA assets had resulted in the justification for military intervention. In the 1980s, for instance, a story about Russian MiGs being delivered to Nicaragua appeared on the front page of the New York Times. A CIA analyst turned whistleblower David McMichael later revealed this had been completely made up, but was reported as fact as a way of manipulating public opinion to support U.S. intervention in the region. In an infamous story from the 1970s revealed by CIA whistleblower John Stockwell, a story about rapes committed by Cuban soldiers in Angola, which was widely reported around the world, had in fact been completely made up by CIA assets in the press.
So he came up with another story, which he in fact kept going for weeks, and it was a good story in terms of the CIA's propaganda interests. He had some Cuban soldiers raping some young Angolan girls. Then there was a battle, and he had that Cuban unit cut off and captured. And then he had the Cuban women victims identifying the rapists. And then there was a trial, and they were convicted. And then he had them executed by a firing squad of women who had supposedly been violated with photographs
of young African women with weapons shooting down these Cubans. There had never been a rape. There had never been a military action. Cubans had never been captured. It was all fiction.
Stockwell did extremely well with this story. Here's the Daily Express of March the 12th, 1976. Gun girls execute Cuban rapists is the headline. And quoting from UNITA, it says that 17 Cubans were executed, 5 of whom had been identified as the people who had raped 4 African women a few weeks before. And here's the Evening Standard, with a bit more convincing detail, saying the Cubans were shot with their own guns. And here's the Daily Telegraph, the newspaper of record, adding a bit more detail, identifying the region from which the women came and saying that they took part in the executions. The reporter was John Bullock.
I haven't the faintest idea whether it was true, and I never said it was true. I reported somebody as saying that, as telling me that story. I certainly didn't report the facts.
Similarly, in Libya this year, shortly after Obama admitted the presence of covert operatives on the ground in Libya, identified as CIA agents by the New York Times, with the admitted goal of destabilizing the Gaddafi government, a story surfaced about Gaddafi's troops that was immediately picked up and reported unquestioningly by nearly every news outlet in the world.
Remember when we kept hearing about Gaddafi? I remember hearing about him years ago over and over and over, and they painted him out to be a villain in the media. But you all, Gaddafi was highly regarded by the citizens of his country out in Libya because they were living better than the people here in the United States, so much to the point that he could actually walk the streets freely, and he had support from his citizens. The government here cannot walk the streets freely because they're basically whisked away in bulletproof limousines. When you see the quote unquote president, he has security guards and everybody around him to protect him from being shot by the citizens. So this tells you that there is something far more sinister going on in this world than people are privy to. Why would Libya's president be so heavily regarded, and over in the United States, people can't stand the presidents? Because Gaddafi, and everybody that has been doing their research and remembers this, was going to back up their resources with gold. And basically what that was going to do, that was going to make them so much far more richer and have them to basically bankrupt the US currency. So what happened? Hillary Clinton ended up having him murdered, you all.
In the morgue, Gaddafi soldiers killed in the fight for Ashdabia, and in the pockets of their uniforms, Viagra and condoms, weapons of war.
President Muammar Gaddafi is also rejecting allegations he ordered his troops to rape women as a way to spread fear and dissent in the early days of the liberation.
Now, the International Criminal Court says there is evidence Colonel Gaddafi ordered his forces to use rape as a weapon of war.
It was later admitted that there was in fact no evidence whatsoever to back up these assertions, but that news was not heralded with anything near the same attention that the original accusations garnered. It's universally understood that such operations still take place, but without whistleblowers and insiders exposing the truth, it's impossible to tell exactly what stories in our own day and age have been completely fabricated by intelligence agencies with a vested interest in manipulating public opinion.
It doesn't get more Hollywood than that. And our children go to school, and they're getting killed! I just spent the last 2 hours
happening? The burial arrangements for my daughter's funeral! Who's 14?
He posted 10 years old, and he said, if you don't come out, I'm gonna hit you with the taser. I threw my hand up, the black officer moved out the way, and he still hit me with the taser.
And where did he hit you?
In the stomach, you heard?
And
No. Yeah. That's where he hit me at.
in the groin?
Yeah.
Okay.
My kid died because nobody responded to what occurred at Sandy Hook. Those parents lost little kids. It's bad enough that I lost my 20-year-old, but I had 20 years with my son. That's all I have. But those people lost their children at 6 and 7 years old. How do you think they feel? And who's talking to them now? Who's doing anything for them now?
Record on the album, you make a spook who sat by the door reference. I don't think you a spook who sat by the door. I think your intentions are pretty clear.
Well, now I would say so, but even to the point you made earlier. And I'm gonna name my last album "The Spook That Sat by the Door." You know what I mean? When I finished my situation with our partnership at Atlantic. And if anybody ain't seen that book, you seen that movie or read the book, it's about a gang member from Chicago who presented himself in a way he never caught no cases. He had a clean cut look, and he infiltrated the CIA.
Yep.
And he became educated and basically he used their agenda, which was to have a token nigga in the CIA for political reasons. You know, we gonna speak. But fuck it. He used it against him. I feel parallel with, like, you know what I mean? 100%.
And what's interesting about that book, all his people used to call him Uncle Tom and the Cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Sellout.
Yeah.
But he was there working for them the whole time.
Yeah. And
my favorite record on the album, you make a spook who sat by the door reference.
And I'm gonna name my last album "The Spook That Sat by the Door." A gang member from Chicago presented himself in a way he never caught no cases, and he infiltrated the CIA. Yep. Basically.
Let me just interject here, because what people think is Uncle Tom, they have that terminology misconstrued. It is Sambo, okay? Sambo, not Uncle Tom. And I think a lot of melanated beings, they just throw out phrases that they hear because they don't do research on exactly what they're speaking about. And so that's how ignorance is perpetuated, you all, and naivety. But let's continue.
He used their agenda, which was to have a token nigga in the CIA for political reasons. He used it against him.
Close the door, close the door. Looks better like this. There you go, my man. There you go, you got it. I'll check your Instagram, I'll message you to you. Okay? Hey, man.
This is what y'all not understanding. Where did Nipsey Hussle come from? Where did he come from? All of my friends, look, y'all not understanding. Y'all don't understand this shit, bro. A lot of y'all here.
Y'all see these comments? Somebody said that they've been crying all week over a man, over a guy they never met, never knew. This is how deep it goes. These are the PSYOP operatives. That's how they play with your emotions in your head. I bet you they didn't cry over a week for people in their own family and their own relatives, but they're crying over someone that they don't even know, that they saw on the TV screen. This is ridiculous, y'all.
This is all of us as kids. See the dude right there, the blonde hair, that's me in the background. This is a picture of all of us as kids. Everybody in this picture is born and raised in Watts. We still don't understand where Nipsey came from. This is a picture of all of us as kids. We still don't understand where he came from and how did he even manage to be in Watts. We don't know how he even went to a school in Watts. We don't even know where he came from. But he was in Watts trying to help. You don't understand what Watts is. Let me break it. Let me break something down to y'all.
That's another thing that I wanted to point out for you all who may not have been aware, but they had actually articles that you could pull up on Google showing that he died before March 31st. What was it, 2020 or 2019, whatever year it was. They actually had articles showing that he died prior to that date. And I think they released the actual date of death when they wanted to release it for a particular reason. So there's something far more sinister going on behind the scenes than what we're aware of, you all, once again.
So what happened was we advanced death row the money.
But the truth is, we in Time Warner put up the money. I mean, look, I was definitely part of bailing out Tupac.
This went out to all the soldiers. We support the troops, well, I certainly do. I'm a former military person, and I look forward to your return.
Okay. And you guys actually were literally protecting him, like what, outside of his actual room and so forth?
And we surrounded the hospital.
Wow.
And we took, security points.
So it's a military operation. Yeah.
Yep.
He can't even look at the camera, y'all.
So it's a military operation. Yeah.
It is no longer disputed that the CIA has maintained an extensive and ongoing relationship with news organizations and journalists, and multiple specific acts of media manipulation have now been documented. But as long as the public continues to ignore the influence of intelligence agencies in shaping or even fabricating news stories, the agency will continue to be able to set the policy that drives the American war machine at will.
So that's the end of that. And the saga continues. Okay. There's so much footage I could show you. you know, I've researched this topic so much in depth that basically none of these people can be trusted at all. And so those of you that, you know, believe in Nipsey Hussle and want to compare him to Jesus and worship him, go right ahead. But I don't buy into those antics whatsoever at all. Now let's get into Young Pharaoh, because I'm pretty sure you're starting to see the patterns here. Okay, Young Pharaoh. Let's see if I can find this video that I wanted to show you all when he first got introduced to the scene. That's the video footage I want you to see. I'm going to my history and see if I can pull it up. Is it on here? Let's see. It's got to be in here somewhere. Let me see. Let's see if this is it right here. And see, even on here, it says Agent Sonetta exposed. So Sonetta is an agent, you all. Just be very much aware of that as well. And I've been hearing that about him for a while now.
Hold on. Hey. Hold on. Watch this. Hold on. Hey. Hold on. If nothing else.
All right. So these are the games and the little antics they like to play with the melanated community. So let's go ahead, because this is what you call the quote unquote conscious community, y'all. I'm going to share my screen so you can see these antics play out right in front of your face.
Hold on. If nothing else, right? If we say we Africans, right? And everybody here say y'all Africans, right? Do y'all agree we the oldest people on the planet? Yes or no? Yeah. So why the fuck, how the fuck, when the fuck do you prove that shit? Just by standing? You know, the general just say that shit. Come on, shorty, you're not in this. This man, this man. You ain't there. Nah, but he helped you out if you was something.
Now, this was posted December 16th, 2015.
You were done. You got checkmated. And the Presbyterian shit killed him. So here's my point on
you heard a little voice in the background. That's Young Pharaoh. So just continue to listen.
Right. The way we prove the Africans the oldest planet, right? Through DNA. Now, how do you know? Because wherever there's the most diverse DNA, that's where the origin is. It's like plants. Wherever you find the most diverse plant life, right? And that particular species, that's where it started at. So we use motherfucking DNA to prove who the fuck we are. We use archaeology, which is motherfucking science.
So he's from Baltimore, Maryland, because I can hear in his accent the way he says "ooh." That's how they speak out that way.
We use DNA. We use the fossil record paleontology. We use all these things. As a matter of fact, Sinjetti, have you ever seen DNA before in your life? Step up, yo. And then we can get to the lane. Nigga, let's get it in.
Okay, all right. Now,
let's get it in.
All right. So I was a biology major, okay, and we extracted DNA in the laboratory.
Oh, are you black?
Yeah.
Are you a black person?
Yes.
So you're a black person extracting DNA?
Yes.
So we can't use that white man argument shit. That's a nigga right there, yo.
All respect. But again, you can extract DNA from plants, okay, from blood, you can do it in a laboratory. Okay, I've done it. It's not hard. Okay, that's what I was school for, pre-medical biology. All right. So people make arguments against DNA and say, okay, well, have you been in the laboratory and done it? I have. Okay, looked at it under a microscope.
He reminds me of Kevin Hart. Have you done it? Okay, because I have. But he's not making a point. Yes, I do believe that he has done this, and we know that you can extract DNA from plants and animals. I mean, that's just very common sense. But get to your point. And then my other question is, what are these people proving by gathering on a street corner, debating one another? They're not resolving anything other than the fact of the sport of a debate and to provide entertainment to melanated people again, which is not taking away the problems of melanated communities.
Okay. Now again, that's not against anybody in particular.
I'm not.
But hold on.
Have you ever been in the laboratory? You prove the DNA ain't real.
But hold on. I'm not making an argument against my man right here.
We got serious. I'm just saying, right? It's been an underlying effect in the community.
Enough of him. I'm tired of him. Because he just wants to be seen and heard. Now, what I was trying to do is see. Here we go. This is the part I'm trying to get at.
Because you need nutrients for the body. And that's black. These are black people, Caucasians, Mexicans, all types of people died when they didn't eat.
Let me answer the question. Okay.
All right, let's hear what the question was, y'all. Let's go back and let's listen.
Okay, you go back to the oldest remnants of breatharians, and that shit started in Hinduism. Not African.
Okay, so you can read it. So when anyone says to you that no one is translated or no one can read the Melanated, guess what you just did? You read it. Okay, so don't listen to that. This is an African language. It's an African script. You're an African people, so African people can read it. All right. When we're in that museum, most of the people that you've seen in there were whites and Asians. Is that right? Okay. So why is it that they in there reading it, but someone tells you that you can't? Does that make sense? No. Okay. All right. I don't know what that is. Okay.
All right, yo. We're going to disprove this breatharian shit right now.
Okay, let's get it.
Okay, you go back to the oldest remnants of breatharians, and that shit started in Hinduism.
So they got Pharaoh in when he was extremely young. You know, Tupac came in when he was extremely young. Tupac came in at 17 into the infiltration of the system. We remember when Tupac was around 17 years of age, he was taken by ballet, you all, extremely effeminized. And it is my personal belief that Tupac was, in fact, gay. And if you actually go and pull some video footage up, you will find that he actually was participating in some gay activities. And many people are not ready to hear that either. This is why he had to over-masculinize himself, or this is why he tried to present such a masculine image all the time, always doing a whole lot of extra hyperactivity to basically play off the fact that he had very feminized ways. And you're going to see that happen with men that are trying to overcompensate for something, as in the likes of young Pharaoh. So let's go ahead and continue.
Not African science. Hinduism comes from Indo-Aryan Sanskrit. So that's not African science, right?
Okay, let's skip past him and let's get to him.
Because you need nutrients for the body. And that's black. These are black people, Caucasians, Mexicans, all types of people died when they didn't eat.
Why is he screaming?
Let me answer the question. Okay, pause. So now we understand that. Pause. We understand that you are not your physical body, correct?
Yes, sir. All right. You hear Sanetta's big mouth in the background because basically he knows that by using young Pharaoh, because young Pharaoh said that Sanetta reached out to him to be on the platform because he wanted to get views off of this. This is what, and right here you see Sarah Sutton-Seti right there out here in the gathering. Now this is young Pharaoh. This is the infiltrator. This is the agent here.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, I'm gonna prove to you right now that you're not your physical body. Using common sense. Raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Did your hand raise itself, or did you give the command to the body to raise their hand?
No. Look at how happy he is. Extra hyper.
Paul, yes, answer the question. Answer the question. Okay, your brain gave a signal, right? So now, okay, your brain is an official entity, correct? Which means that the source from which the thought came would not be the body of the puppet. So do you? No. Answer the question, man. Just. No question. Now I'm running over you. Listen, you are not the body. First of all, you are not the body. You saying it's pseudo, but you're not spiritually vibrating high enough to even transmit this knowledge. So first of all, calm down. Third of all, you are not your body. So therefore, your spirit ether body has a different food source than your physical body. If you fuse your spirit body or your ether body with your physical body, you can eat directly from the source. The soles of your hands, the soles of your feet, the palms of your hands. These energy. These are your 11 chakras. Your aura, and you have 7 levels of existence. You only see them with the 2 eyes, which is the third dimension, which is the densest level. You have a 7th eye, which is your crown chakra. When your kundalini is flowing, you're supposed to know this, Mr. Amara. No, Egyptian as well. When your kundalini energy is flowing and all your chakras are aligned, your light body is permeating, and your light body takes over the physical realm. And you see, when your light body takes over the physical shell, now you eat on that realm because that is the driver that's in control. So you have never transmigrated the physical realm, so you don't have no experience. So in this, yes, I astral project all the time. What are you talking about? I leave the shell all the time. You're not on that realm. I go to the 5th dimension all the time. No drugs, no nothing. So you're not functioning in your higher self. Your understanding is down here. So what I'm saying to you, you can't fathom. I'm in college and you in 5th grade and you trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm actually a college graduate, but we gonna disprove that shit too. See, first of all, we gonna get into African culture.
Oh God, here we go. People thinking they know everything because they had a degree and went to college, you all. The antics never stop. But that is not even the video that I wanted to show you. There was another video on here with young Pharaoh, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it went, you all. I want to see. Let me see here. Oh, goodness. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find it to show you. Yes, on the TV goes berserk on young Pharaoh. Yeah, they didn't have so many disagreements in this quote unquote community, but I'm just showing you how the CIA operatives work. Okay, here's another one. So we're gonna go here.
Your muscles don't react to weight. We're
gonna get past this video.
Oh, we came from the Bible. This is the problem. This is the problem. We got too many people. We got too many people. We got too many people dominating this conversation like this. This dude is just loud. He makes no sense, but he's just loud. Okay, do we got any scientists or biologists?
I'll tell you what. Okay, who you go to?
I want to talk to a biologist. I want to talk to a biologist. I want to talk to a biologist.
Go there to the Department of Biology and see if they get a fucking platform at your university.
You obviously haven't. You obviously have no platform because I got the mic. I got the mic, bro. So I
about you having them dress wearing.
Now you want to get mad?
Oh man!
You got a biologist? You got one? Because we got a loud talker, but we ain't got a biologist though.
Oh man, this is
Waking up our people that's been miseducated and mass murdered.
All right, and there you see the CIA agent right here. He's an agent, operative. He's the one that introduced young Pharaoh onto the platform, you all. Here he is. Brother Polite, he's the one right here. All the people that you see, these infiltrators, there he is again. He's been compromised, you all. Here he is again.
Existed, the consciousness of keeping the motherfuckers off of us would have existed, or we would not be here. That's a fact. Heal that, which means we always had a supreme consciousness. Now you bring that to me, but we didn't have that consciousness.
Man, your question. Do you have proof or a method to show and prove? Do you have proof or a method? I understand you say consciousness, right? Do you have proof or could you show the methodology or show proof that there are pyramids that go back 65 million years? Not off what you believe.
No. I'm not cutting you off.
Go ahead.
When you came, I put it up on my phone and I showed them the article and the pictures of 65 million-year-old pyramids that are factually documented to have been found. And another thing I would like to say is we have 145 to 224 with science going, because y'all use science. What science confirms are alien genes, which are not from this planet. Monkeys or primates don't have those, which means if we evolve from them, then they will have the 145 genes. So we can come to two conclusions now if we want to go to your science. Either we some motherfucking aliens not from here and created the monkeys, or the monkeys created us and gave us some genes that they just don't have and lost forever. So either way it goes, we couldn't evolve from them because we have something that they don't have. So we have to have a separate external source of manifestation because the genetic coding of us is different. Period. And we have and the blood type. And the
light produce light. That's no way you gonna just come out of nothing. You a motherfucker. What did you evolve? What the fuck?
That's why it's important to study consciousness.
It has always been a black woman on this planet. You know it to be a fact. Don't ask me how old it is. You just show me when this shit was created. If you cannot show me when this shit was created, we always been here. So 65 million years ain't shit. When did this shit get here?
Here's the question.
This nigga don't know nobody.
Now here's the thing. Even in ancient Egyptian, even in ancient Egyptian mythology, you clearly see that the earth had a beginning. If you study any Iliad, it shares Shu. It shares Shu, Tepnut, Gab, and Nut. Gab come much later between space, which is Shu, and Tepnut, which is.
Oh God.
Hold on, God. Let me just say this. Hold on, look. Before you say, let me just say this. I want to go back and forth with you. Why is it that the African man or the dark pigmented man deviated and can't find his way back to space if you come from space? Because when you get into tyrosine, hold on, let me just say this. When you deal with tyrosine, which is a key component or amino acid that's responsible for forming melanin, it's a chemical component that develops right here on the planet Earth, outside of spookism. This is just basic biology. Hold on, God. Hold on. Let me just say this right quick. Let me just say this right quick.
Anybody out here remember when they was born? Anybody out here remember when they was born? So if you don't know when the time when you was born, how the fuck could you know the time when creation was born?
But you know you was born.
Show you how your mind is.
But you know you was born.
Your mama might say, "Yeah, baby, you was doing such and such." But you got to get that information from your mother. So that show you a limitation to even your own creation.
But you
don't see that.
But you are aware that you was born, though, right?
Okay, but if you didn't,
you had a phase.
But I'm asking you, if you don't even have consciousness of your own creation, how the hell could you have consciousness of the cosmic creation?
But you bear witness that there was
you remember when you was born?
Hold on. But you are aware that there was a process that you went through before you were developed. You know that. But hold on. 1, I was 2, I was 3. Once that cerebral cortex.
Let me bust it. Okay. Now, the brother made a statement about melanin and da 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 creates da 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 da. Now I got a question for you. Would you agree that the sixth element on a periodic elements chart would be carbon, right? So we would agree that melanin is carbon 12, right? No, I'm saying that wrong. Would we say that melanin has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons? No. So you're not saying,
Hold on. Yo, hold on, y'all.
Okay.
Yo, hold on. Hold on. We can't get through this shit without bringing the motherfucking Harlemite in the building, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm coming. Hold on. Right now. I'm gonna come back to Shabazz. Hold on.
To a 100% human being, and then pause, and then turn into a damn Caucasian, a not.
Wow, so you can clearly see what was going on out here on 125th in Harlem. Okay, if that's where they are. You can clearly see what was taking place out there dealing with Sonetta and them. A bunch of shenanigans, y'all. And yet and still they had no cohesiveness whatsoever. I don't think I'm going to find the video that I wanted to show you. And if I don't find it, that's fine. But it's almost like someone programmed information into him, you all. That's what I was getting at. Now, he does know how to read and disseminate information. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's actually a good skill set to have. However, he is still, in my personal opinion, a CIA operative. And in a minute, I'm going to show you exactly why. Let's continue down here for a second. Let's see here. It's still the same thing. I don't think I'm going to find the video I wanted to show you all. Check my history one more time and see if it'll come up. Mm-hmm. 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 All right, you all. I don't think I'm going to find the video, but there was an interesting video that I wanted to show you where it seemed like he was regurgitating information, like someone had programmed that information into him and he had studied it over and over and over and over again until he was able to recite it. I don't see it in here, but if I do find it, I may show it to you. But nonetheless, he is definitely a CIA operative, and I'm about to show you why. Okay, so it's not, I can't find it. All right, let's continue on, you all. So that is the young pharaoh that we were introduced to. Okay, now let's go ahead. Now he's posted some recent videos since he last came on. So let's show you what a CIA operative looks like, you all. So this is this type of stuff that he's uploading now. Oh, no, Derek Grace woman stole my face tattoo. LMAO, I'm running up a check. It was 1 hour ago. We do not believe in vaccines. Why is Vlad TV not canceled? He's just uploading stuff because he just wants views at this point. How hard is it to join 8 Nation? So let's play this real quick because I want you to hear what he says in this video. And I'm going to skip past a little bit so you can get some insight and clarity as to what I'm talking about here.
And I've been Pharaoh Simp for like 5 years already. I already know what it is. Gang, listen. Everybody asking, everybody want to know.
You can see that he is intoxicated. Just look at his face. Look at his eyes. He's under some type of substance. It looks like he's been smoking weed, of course.
When they can join our nation, how hard is it to join our nation? You're not gonna come over here playing. Play with my bag, I'm not gonna play with yours. Don't play with my life, I'm not gonna play with yours.
It's different. I mean, this just looks like something very evil and demonic, and it's scary looking. Just looking at his spirit, you all. He's definitely been infiltrated by some type of demonic force. Spiritually, he's been attacked, but also his integrity has been compromised. This is what this looks like, you all. And it's very scary to watch.
Kids, I'm not gonna play with yours. Oh, y'all, I let my wife talk for me, my wrist talk for me, my cat talk for me. What up, you know me, they wanna blow me, but I was always be saying a lot. I came in the game humble, I don't give a fuck now, niggas what now, you think I'm not about to kill this? What's up? If I'm coming off your beat. Don't copyright me, call me, get your bag off, call me, let's get it. You co-signed Tekashi, he was a fraud.
Told you he wants to be like Tekashi, and then he says I want to work with 50 Cent. Okay, everybody knows that Tekashi was an agent. This is why you see that Shotty and them, Treyway, all of that mess, these people got locked up behind him. Anyway, let's continue on. Hardest in the game. He wants to be a rapper so bad, so badly. Why I put Golden on camera without her permission. We all know that they've been playing these little reindeer games, little skits for love and hip hop. There was something else that I wanted to look at. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find that video for you all. I'm going to play it so you can hear what I am talking about. All right, here it is. Where is the next direction that I'm going in as an elite, you all? So he's letting you know right in front of your face that he's now in the elite because he's done his sacrificial sacrifices. He's turned his back on the melanated community. He had to do whatever rituals he had to do. He had to embarrass himself like we saw him with all these antics playing out on the internet. He had to basically turn his back on the melanated race. He had to defile the melanated female when he first came out saying the Black woman is God and how she should be upheld on her pedestal. All of these things that he basically taught he's going against, and that's part of his sacrifice, you all. So this is what people will do, anything to get to where they want to go. They will compromise their integrity. And this is what you see is called selling your soul. And because he did it in a way that was very manipulative, using the ancestors and the feminine divine to do it, he's going to suffer. And you can see that already in the aura in his face, that he's being spiritually attacked. And it's a very ugly thing to witness and watch. While he had came into the chat of soul energy while I was on the panel, and basically there's no way that he considered himself a real respectable gentleman or man, and he comes on a platform to attack two females in the way in which he did, and also to attack another young guy's 2-year-old daughter the way in which he did. I can't respect that. But then he comes on his own platform and speaks about his daughter saying, I'll go to war for mine. Well, you can't say that somebody else won't go to war for theirs, because just because he thinks that he has the elite behind him, he doesn't understand the magnitude of what he's doing with this karmic debt. And there is something far more powerful than any human being walking this earth, whether he knows that or not. No matter what spiritual practices and sacrifices that he makes, he is going to have to pay karmic debt, you all. So let's continue, because he said something out of his mouth, and I don't know if he's well aware of what he was saying. But I want you to look at the date on this video. September 10th, 2021, okay? Now listen to what he says.
Put myself in a position where, you know, people can stabilize themselves without engaging in criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. You know, the Black community itself has till August 1st to get its own shit together. It is what it is. If you
Let's run that back. The Black community has until when? August 1st to get their what together? But I thought this video was published on September 10th. Huh? So did he make this video in advance? Because it seems like a lot of this stuff was already orchestrated. So when he's putting these videos out, it seems as though this was already prepared. It's interesting. Why would he say August the 1st? And this is September the 10th when he published this video and put it on YouTube. I'm just saying.
Myself in a position where, you know, people can stabilize themselves without engaging in criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. You know, the Black community itself has till August 1st to get its own shit together. People can stabilize themselves without engaging in criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. You know, the Black community itself has till August 1st to get themselves without engaging in criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. You know, the Black community itself has till August 1st to get its own shit together. It is what it is. If you are an employee of mine, or you wish to fill out an application and gain citizenship, you know the rules and regulations of your expected behavior, and how you are expected to conduct yourself, along with criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. Where you know people can stabilize themselves without engaging in criminal activity. So with that being said, y'all know exactly what is about to be with me. Don't act surprised. You know, the Black community itself has till August 1st to get its own shit together. It is what it is. If you are an employee of mine, or you wish to fill out, it's not natural. So anybody over here, we're not getting no vaccine. We walking through that air.
Hulu ad man. You all, so now he's playing on the beliefs of the melanated community, because he knows a lot of melanated people say they don't trust the vaccine. They recall what has happened in the Tuskegee experiments. They know that they are some of the most highly tested and experimented individuals, when they go into the hospitals, they know that people use them as science experiments, basically. So he already knows this. So this is why he's trying to market and advertise to the melanated community. Again, he's going back and forth. This is part of his ritualistic practice because he's trying to get into the elite status. Now he's letting you know where his morals and his values truly stand. So this is a long stretch from what we first saw when he came onto the platform of Sinetta, you all.
I'm a banker. I don't got to spend my money with nobody. I can build my own airline or buy my own jet. I can do this shit myself. And I wait to do this shit myself. But if I don't feel like waiting and I want to go and the motherfucker want to make some money off me, I'm not paying to go nowhere and I got to get a motherfucking vaccine, a test, none of that shit. If I die, I choose to die on my own. I ain't afraid of the motherfucking COVID. So if it's as scary as y'all claim, let me die from this shit. Period. Let me die from this shit. I'm not getting vaccinated. I feel like the vaccine is a motherfucking trap. Period. That's what I believe. Period. I'm not getting vaccinated. So I will be filling out a religious form and submitting that to the courts publicly, stating that I don't wish to be vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? My religion and my ideology is not only in the handbook. I'm personally going to create me a religious form and submit that bitch to the courts. So it could be on a public record for everybody to see. For everybody to see. Straight up. I don't believe in cut my hair. I believe my hair is my antennas. Flocculus, you feel me, is connected to my dipple antennas, which are located in the internal and external layers of my skull, which help me to train.
We've already heard that.
From the sun. I'm not cutting my hair. No. No. I believe I'm a natural breathing, flesh and blood man. I'm not putting no man-made scientific, whatchamacallit, things from a vaccine in my body. And can't nobody tell me it's not harmful because I'm building a laboratory in my house as we speak.
Where does he get the tools to build a laboratory in the house? That was my question.
Recreate that motherfucker right in his house. And we can see if it's harm. I can see for myself if it's safe. So I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that game. So this right here is to let everybody know.
So basically he's saying he's going to recreate a laboratory in his house and they will recreate the vaccination in his house to see if it's safe. That's what he just said, you all. If you don't believe me, let's rewind it back.
Whatever's in the vaccine, we're gonna go. If y'all really want to do it, we can go live and recreate that motherfucker right in his house, and we can see if it's harm. I can see for myself if it's safe. So I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that game. So this right here.
I thought the vaccination had a patent on it. So if he's going to recreate this vaccination in his house, I'm just saying, isn't that like some type of copyright infringement? Anyway, let's continue.
Just to let everybody know, you feel me? I'm going the holistic route, the natural route, the energy route, the universal route. And like I said, treat me like a gangster Buddha. You know how I'm rocking? Like a swaggy Buddha. Y'all know how I'm rocking? You feel me? I read my ancestors, Egypt, and I actually on the way. We ain't out here doing.
All right. I've heard enough of these antics, you all. I'm going to end it here. I really wanted you to see that other video, but unfortunately I could not locate it. If I do come across it, I will post it on here. That has been it for now. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. I know this was a long session, but I wanted to run these videos through so you could see why I say it is so important that people do not uphold, uplift, place people on a pedestal, idol worship people. Because there are people just like you. They just have a platform. They just have social influence. Some people have more money. That does not make them any better. That does not make them any more intelligent, because the books that they read, you can read if you have access. You can research. There's a lot of information at your disposal that we didn't have years ago. So there's no reason why you cannot teach your own lectures. You can actually set up your own teaching courses. You can have people to sign up for your websites. You are just as powerful. You are just as knowledgeable if you apply yourself. There is nothing that this individual did that you cannot do for yourselves. I know that he has taken a lot of time, but he has had plenty of time on his hands because he did not have probably some of the responsibilities that other people have. He might not have had the same type of career paths or jobs or going to some of the schools that you've gone to. And maybe you didn't have the type of time on your hands to do the same amount of research. But then again, we don't know where some of his resources were coming from. We don't know where some of his information was coming from. We don't know who planted certain things in his ear to deliver certain messages to the public to captivate a certain audience. So just be very careful, be very mindful when people show you who they are, believe them. There is so much evidence, so much information that's out there at your disposal. Take some time to do some digging and a little bit of research before you just take what people say all the time at face value. That is all I want to say to you all. I'm going to sign out now. Brown Girls Are Beautiful. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the melanated queens, melanated kings, melanated warriors. Thank you so much for the true warriors for protecting these queens and these princesses out here and these princes. Continue to walk in your divinity, you all. Brown Girls Are Beautiful. We want you to stay blessed. And until next time, you all stay beautiful. And we're going to sign out just like that, you all. Until next time.